you've seemed to have maybe purposely left out the 2010 classic Prince of Persia, starring Jake
Oh,
Gyllenhaal.
well, John, I'll do you one better, okay? How about the Uncharted movie, huh?
Oh, hey,
You like them
don't you
apples?
that was a good movie.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Screened In podcast. Here at the Screened In podcast, we talk about anything that's on our screens. That's TV, movies, video games, anime, you name it. If it's on a screen, we're probably talking about it. On this episode, we strap on a Pip-Boy and adventure out of the Screened In vault and touch the irradiated grass just once. Except there is no grass because we're in a wasteland of Amazon Prime trying to figure out why all of us watched a different amount of episodes of this Fallout TV series. I'm joined by my crispy, but not too crispy, co-host John Artigler. Welcome, John.
Hello, hello.
And on the pod, joining us for the first time, way overdue, is my cousin and one of the few people that we actually know in the business, Erik Falcone. Welcome, Erik.
Hi, it's great to be here.
Yeah,
All
great to
right.
have you.
So, as we said, we are talking about the Fallout TV series.
Yeah.
We're going to try to avoid going the first direction that John usually takes us in, which is, did you know about this?
I've never said that before in my life.
Ever did it. But, instead, let's talk about, did you guys play the Fallout video games?
I did, absolutely. It was Fallout 3 was actually the first RPG game I ever played before I even knew what RPGs were. So Fallout 3 is definitely really special to me because before that I would only play, like Call of Duty or something where you're on a linear path and you're just shooting the bad guys in front of you. So when I
Mhm.
stepped into the wasteland in Fallout, I was like, where do I go? What do I do? I didn't understand that there was missions and stuff. So I just walked. I just walked and walked and walked, and it just exploring the wasteland felt really cool. Like not having that idea of what an RPG was, and knowing that there was like a quest line that I was supposed to follow or anything. Like I don't think
Mhm.
I'll never be able to replicate that feeling again of playing an RPG for the first time. So I
That
will.
makes total sense. And like that, you're so right. Like, not understanding or knowing like the concept of like just at baseline, like an open world RPG and
Mhm.
just like
Yeah.
being thrown into that experience is like so unique
Yeah.
and interesting. And there's probably like serotonin hits that you got from that first playthrough that you'll never be able to replicate when you're like, oh, I did this and then this happened. Oh, that's freaking awesome.
Mhm. Yep.
Is there
For those
Were
of
there any
us,
quest lines that stand out to you from Fallout 3 game, or is it hard to remember? Because that came out 2008.
no, I remember. It's burned into my brain. The Fallout 3 for anybody who's played the game, the most memorable thing I think is the beginning when you visit the first town out of the vault. It wasn't the first town I visited to. It was close to the vault where you emerge and they expect you to go there first, but I eventually made my way there and there's this nuke in the middle of the city. And if you have a high enough I think it's like engineering skill, you can disarm it for them, and then like you can still live in that city, or you can go to this guy in the saloon and he'll pay you 10,000 bottle caps to set the nuke to blow up, and then you can live in the tower. And that's like the very first thing you do to decide if you're going to be good or evil. And I blew it up the first time. I said, yeah, that's cool.
Oh, you're telling me I have the option? Oh, I'm gonna blow up the nuke.
Yeah, exactly. Like, especially it's a video game and I didn't know it. And see, that's another one of the things why, like, if this was an RPG nowadays and I was playing it, I'm just like, oh man, I kind of want to go on Wikipedia and see which one's going to give me more XP, or which one
For
leads
sure.
what's mine. When I played this for the first time, I was just doing stuff and seeing what happened. And I'm just like, blow up this nuke or don't blow up this nuke. Like, what am I gonna not blow it up? That sounds lame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the best ways now for the single player RPG open world experience, it's just great to like just start it and like fumble through it.
Yeah.
Like there's too many games nowadays where people are always trying to play the meta and like play the most the like the best build, with the best gun. And it's like just give me an RPG to fumble through and I'm gonna make mistakes and that's gonna be part of the fun.
Yeah.
That's
John,
my problem with these.
y-
Exactly what
yeah,
you said. I don't
uh-huh.
do that because I'm like, there's too many choices. Like, you just said one of the first choices you're met with is whether to blow up a town or not with a nuke. I would be sitting there. I'm like, oh god, what are the repercussions of this? What are you supposed to do here? I don't. This is too stressful. I'm gonna go to something else. Like, but
Yeah.
that's why, like, I tried Fallout 3 for a little bit, and that's all I did, and that's kind of regretful from on my end because I feel like the Fallout series is beloved by the majority of the gaming community. I feel like has played Fallout at some point or another. So, especially after this show and getting a little bit more acquainted with RPGs and not just running around shooting it all up all the time, like I could definitely see wanting to go back and play these now.
Mhm. Oh,
So,
absolutely. I have the urge just watching this as I was watching this show, I was like, I wanna go play Fallout 4 again.
yeah.
I played through Fallout 4, got the ending, or got a ending, and, absolutely loved that game. Um, but I never played the DLC. What tends to happen with me is, like, uh, once I beat a game, that's it. Even if there's a DLC coming out, I'm not
Mhm.
returning to it. Like, that's it. I beat the game. It's time to move on. There's other things out there. There's too many games to play. So, for me, that's it. But now, enough time has passed, right? It has been, I think, more than 10 years at this point,
Jeez.
since I played Fallout 4, that I could probably return to it and maybe forget a lot of things that happened
Mhm.
and also have it be new enough to where, like, I could play the whole thing and the DLCs, which are 3 DLCs, one of which is, like, one of the best DLCs apparently ever made. So, and there's tons of mods out there now that are from creators and different ways to play it. So, I think Twitch has seen an uptick in the amount of people
Yeah.
streaming Fallout games.
Isn't,
People even returning to Fallout 76, which by all accounts should be a dead game by now
yeah.
and has survived time and time again. It's like a irradiated cockroach in the wastelands. It just won't go away. In fact, it's evolved and it's staying and it's too big to apparently fail.
I was gonna ask, is that game fixed? I know it was, super broken and stuff when it came out, but I did see it's free this week to play. They've been really promoting that.
Oh
So
wow.
I was tempted, but I didn't know if it's still a broken, crappy mess.
It's fixed the things that needed to be fixed. Yeah. The like
Okay.
any even when I played it, it was not too far off of release. And to be honest, the bugs that I experienced the game bugs, not the irradiated bugs, were like fine. Like it was few and far between that I had gotten stuck or this or that had happened. Although that there was other problems, right? Like you don't talk to like any other human, which I think that was like kind of an initial mistake. Kind of made the world feel like really, really bland and was a huge mistake, I think, on their part
Okay.
to not have like any human NPCs in the game. Made
There's
it
none?
feel no initially at release,
Oh,
there
oh,
was
oh.
none.
Okay.
That's
And
wild.
they've changed that to add that.
Huh.
You were gonna say something there?
Yeah, that was the reason that I never played the game in the first place because, like, I saw what they were doing with it, and I'm just like, no NPCs, like, no dialogue. That's the whole point of Fallout. Like, Well,
Right.
I don't that's
Exactly.
to this day, I still don't really understand what Fallout 76 even is. It's like a live service type thing. Like, is there a story? Is there I don't know. I was just too
Yeah.
confused, never paid attention to it.
There's story. There's story. But it was a attempt at a MMO. And you're right. It's live it's in a way it is live service. Um they apparently made a lot of changes to make it fun. I think the best way to play that game is you gotta have a friend
Mm,
who's also interested in playing it with you. If
Mm.
you're playing it solo, which I tried, it's just not gonna be fun. And also the PvP, I think, is like if someone shoots you, you can choose to like accept that you're being shot at. So
I
there
reject
isn't
these
PvP unless
bullets.
yeah. I think there might be areas in which, like, you have no choice, but
Well, didn't you isn't
for
that like
most
you built like a base and stuff in that game and all this?
yeah, there's base building. They tried
Yeah.
to, like, adopt what Fallout 4 did so well and make it into a Fallout 76. You can move your base. I don't know. It's, it wasn't for me. I even tried to replay it, and it just it just doesn't have the same flavor as the other single player Fallout games. It would be very hard to achieve that, I think, in an MMO.
mm,
Um, so Fallout 4 was my big one. I tried Fallout 3 at one point. What stopped me always, and I think John and I had texted about this, is
Mhm.
VATS.
mm,
VATS was a unique thing that, like, it would be very hard, I think, to show that or somehow even talk about that in the show, but I haven't heard a lot of people even discussing it in the context of this show because VATS was and is an integral part of the Fallout video games.
Mhm.
And it's very much not present here, although I wouldn't have expected it to be. But Fallout, I think VATS is one of the reasons why many people don't play Fallout.
mm.
Especially with the older ones where it's, like, a lot more prevalent. Now, Fallout 4, you could play that as a traditional FPS, you'll be just fine. So, did you guys like the VAT system? John, you've never played a Fallout game, correct?
I did play a little bit. I
Okay,
think before I said Fallout 3, it must have been Fallout 4. But,
okay.
I like it in theory, I
Mhm,
think, but, like, I don't know, it definitely, I think at the time was a little bit of a turn off,
Mm.
and like I said, I wasn't really into the RPG aspect. Now that's just another thing tacked on top to make it a little bit more different than, like, a regular shooter, and
mhm.
so, I don't know, I'd be tempted to go back and try it because I mean, also, if people don't know what VATS is, isn't it pretty much it
Thank
gives
you.
you, like, probability odds of where you should aim, kind of,
And
and
it
you have to, like,
stops time
select.
or slows down
Yeah.
time.
Is you look at your little wrist Pip Boy, and it's like, alright, if you go for the head, you have a 20% chance to hit it, but if you go for his, like, left leg, you got a 90% chance, but I guess damage comes into play and all this thing, so you have to kinda strategically aim. You're not just sitting there unloading a whole gun.
Yep.
So,
So,
I do like the concept, it sounds interesting. I mean, Eric, what was your thought on it? Did you like it?
yeah, I did like it because, it actually comes from Fallout 1 and 2, which was, I've played them all, by the way, I love it a lot, and, so in Fallout 1 and 2, the combat, it's not a first person shooter like the newer ones, it's turn-based combat. So, like, the VATS points you have is that's the only way you fight, like, say, you're fighting, like, a rad roach, and you have 100 VATS points, like, you can spend 50 of them to do a shotgun blast to the head, and it'll say, like,
Oh,
50% chance of hitting, or you can, like, do something else, or you can choose to run. So, like, yeah, like, turn-based it was turn-based combat, and then they tried to incorporate that into the first-person shooters, and, I liked it, I mean, I was in 8th grade when I played Fallout 3, and, like, I didn't really care too much about the difficulty since it was just a single player game. I kinda liked it. It was just like, there's a group of raiders, you hit, was it RB on the Xbox controller, just 100% chance of headshot, and then he just blows his head off with a hunting rifle. I just enjoyed that. So I don't know. I never had a it's like
Oh, that's exactly how I played Fallout 4 is like, sniper from afar, VATS to the head, absolutely, and then you get a beautiful, satisfying cutscene, and,
yeah.
of course, this is a video game, so just like Eric said, like, you have opportunities to make evil choices, and we're just blowing people's heads off. Not something that you do in real life, but something that you very much enjoy when
Well,
you get to play someone totally different.
I said blow a Raider's head off, and anybody who's seen the show at least they know the Raiders from the beginning. Like I think they
Mhm.
deserve.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a good
So that is a
transition.
perfect
Yeah.
transition, yeah,
Man, it's
one
like
of
he's
the
done this
best that we've
before.
had. Yeah, he's, in right in here.
So
So, first episode is, um first episode is what Eric watched.
yeah.
John watched 4 episodes, and I watched all 8.
so
So,
I wanna touch on that because I feel
uh,
like
uh,
I have to come clean at how dumb I am. Uh, I don't know
please
if
go
I
on.
saw it somewhere, if I don't know what I did, but I thought that this series only had 4 episodes. And so we watched, like, the first 2, and then we watched the 3rd, and last night, like, we sat down, I was like, "Oh, man, I guess this is gonna be one of those cliffhangery episodes because like, the story's not wrapped up at this point, like, second part of the season must be coming later," and then I just click on the episodes, and boy, was I wrong. So, at one side, I feel like an idiot, but on the other end, I'm like, "Hey, I got 4 more episodes than I thought," so that's pretty cool.
There you go.
So but I mean, there's a lot to talk about without talking about spoilers, I feel like. Um,
Oh,
it
I'm gonna spoil the shit out of this
oh,
for
no.
all of you. No.
The question I did have, and I guess this can kind of transition us in a little bit, is number 1, are all the Fallout games connected? And number 2, is this one kinda based on Fallout 76, or is this any of them? Like, this could be taught like, this kind of world could be in any
Okay.
of the
So
Fallouts.
this exists within the Fallout universe
Mhm.
perfectly, but it is its own story. So, like, all of the games have lore that connect all of them, right?
Okay.
And you are in a different place and Eric can back me up and make sure he can course correct me if I'm wrong on anything, having played all the games, which I feel like we have a verified Fallout game expert with us, which is
Yeah.
very much makes him the
Thank
right choice
God.
for this episode.
I love
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of experience blowing raiders' heads off. So, listen, so, um, all of the games have have built on the lore. Like, I think that's really cool too because you can you start stumbling on locations and characters and more lore, and if you played a lot of the games, you start to piece that together. And
Okay.
I think that becomes very, very cool, um, because they do, I think, stick to, uh but they often tell a unique and specific story to one specific location.
Okay.
Would you say that's accurate, Eric?
yeah. They're all like they're I don't think any of the games really interconnect other than just like a little bit of lore. So like Fallout 1 and 2 like was in California and then oh no, it was like in Nevada and then Fallout 3 was Washington DC, Fallout New Vegas was in Las Vegas, Fallout 4 was in Boston. I'm not sure where Fallout 76 is, but I do know that the show takes place after all of them.
Virginia, West
Well,
Virginia.
West Virginia. Yeah, that's right. I do remember that in the trailer. But, yeah, I know
Ah, yeah, the great song great version of that
Oh,
song in the
yeah, that's
trailer.
right.
Yeah.
mhm. But, yeah, so I don't think that there's anything other than just, like, little, like, funny things that you'll notice, like the creatures and, like, the environment. I don't think there's any story that is gonna carry over necessarily from the games in the show.
I think what we're gonna find is that and this is I'm being reminded of the fact that I'm the only one who watched all 8
Yeah, I was gonna say, we're
is
gonna find you already found out.
Yeah.
is what you guys are gonna find out it from and what many of our listeners may have already figured out is that um this is very much accurate to the source material.
Oh,
Uh
really?
yeah, and in ways that we've never seen before, tying together things that we've seen in other games
Hmm.
and giving us a little bit more of a complete background and story to the Fallout universe in a way.
Mhm.
Uh you're not going to see all of the factions from previous games. I think that's obvious because some of those factions were very specific to the locations.
Mhm.
But the show is in California, as we know.
Hmm.
Uh, and we do get the Brotherhood, I believe, is the faction.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check myself, but
I
Yeah.
do that
the
sounds right.
Brotherhood of Steel.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Brotherhood of Steel is one of those factions that we get inside of this game, which um is a cool presence for sure. And we got the awesome giant armor, the T whatevers. Um that
T
they
power armor.
what is it?
The T60 power armor.
Yeah, the
There we go.
T60 power armor,
Mhm.
which was the only reason I don't know the name of that is like what I in Fallout 4, I actually like totally did not use the armor at all. Did you ever use the armor?
I used the armor in Fallout 3, but it was different than it was in Fallout 4 because I know that
Oh,
armor in Fallout 4 is more like a kind of like a vehicle thing that you could get in and out of.
yeah.
In Fallout 3, the power armor was just it just worked like normal like clothes in like an RPG. So
Oh,
you put it on.
okay, that makes it different for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't love like one of the first uh quests in Fallout 4, it puts you in a power set of power armor.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I want this. Um I'm sure there's ways to like level up the power armor where it's easier to use throughout that game. I guarantee it because there always is. But I was just like, oh, am I gonna have to like find these like what do they call it? The fusion cores,
Yeah.
like constantly. You know, how long are they gonna last? Like if I dedicate myself to wearing this power armor, um, I remember that going through my head as I was playing it and thinking, I'd just rather sneak around.
Mm.
I like being a sneaky guy. I'm the guy that plays Skyrim and plays the sneak archer 15, 20, 25 times in every single playthrough. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm more of a brute force kind of RPG player.
charging in. I get it. You're donning the gauntlets. You want to punch a guy in the head. Makes sense. Baseball bat. I could
Yeah.
see you actually doing a baseball bat, like having the guy like in a full set, especially Fallout 4, where they had like the baseball outfit,
Uh-huh.
like old timey baseball outfit. Oh,
Yeah. Old
that's
timey
that's
baseball outfit, a spiked bat. That's what I like about
Yeah.
Fallout. You make your person like whatever character of the wasteland you want, you know?
That's absolutely right.
Mhm.
Absolutely right.
I
So
mean,
one of the things, speaking of Fallout 4, is that what you guys might not have experienced as much is that I felt like the show made me feel like when I was doing the quest lines in Fallout 4, especially the main quest lines, is like throughout this show as our main characters are kind of going on a very specific quest, which um the main quest before we get to our main character here, the main character, and then there's of course two other main characters that we have in this, but what this show I think does really well is you get sidetracked by bullshit. And they even say it in the show. They say it multiple times, like, the rules of the wasteland, man, always be sidetracked by bullshit. You know, like, they make that a line in the show. And it's so true because that's exactly how you play the Fallout games.
Yeah.
But there's like information that you're getting piece by piece as you're watching the show. And it makes it feel like exactly how the RPG feels when you're going through the main quest lines and you're like, I don't know the full story here. What is the full story? There's something I'm missing. There's information I'm missing. And with Fallout 4, you're coming out of a vault. You're trying to find, I think, your son in that game initially, and you're trying to figure out where he's at. And you always get new and more information to find that out. And by the time you're done with the game, you have some serious choices to make and some really interesting ones based on who your son is. And so that's pretty darn cool. Um, and that exact kind of thing happens here. But let's rewind some because we start out in a vault with
Yep,
our main character. John, do you have the character set up on your screen? Because I
I
don't.
do.
You
Lucy
do? Okay.
McLean,
Lucy McLean. Do you want to talk a
but
little bit about Lucy?
yeah, I guess it's a good kind of like because I'm going at this kind of not knowing much about Fallout, so I'll play
Mhm.
that kind of character in the audience. Um, so it starts out with like Lucy McLean, played by Ella Purnell, who I know from Yellow Jackets,
Oh,
and um, she does phenomenal so far in this show. I mean, she's part of what the vault dwellers, and I guess I have no idea if you guys might know how many there are, but they're in vault, what, 32 or 33? And it's these underground kind of uh nuclear war vaults that these communities kind of went into and were there. I think it was the show opens, which I want to talk about with like the actual blasts happening. And I think it says 219 years later or something like that. So there's generations of people in these vaults, and they're very sheltered as the world above them is kind of continuing. But everything's kind of stuck with like this. I think it happens in like the 50s, right? Like
No,
late 50s or
it's out
60s.
so
77.
doesn't. So what the Fallout universe is in the 50s,
Yeah.
the Fallout universe is a shift in our timeline. So like essentially in the 50s, um, we have the same world and
Okay.
1950 happens, the Cold War is happening, and there's a complete shift in it. Everything gets shifted from 1950, and the bombs, I believe, don't drop till 2077.
Yep.
Oh, okay. But it just still has the feel of like,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So it's a complete alternative universe, and just think of it splitting off from, like, 1950 from ours.
Okay. I do
And
love that
there's
aspect.
122 vaults, by the way,
Okay. Less
that we
than I
know of.
thought.
Yeah.
I love that aspect of like for me the show, but how everything is just kind of that like home of the future kind of technology. It's all even the cars in the very beginning that they show are these crazy kind of concept car looking things, and I love it. I think it's such a cool setting for the show.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one thing I love about the Fallout universe, and, it's always perplexing sometimes because, like, they'll have a Mr. Handy artificially intelligent robot, but they'll be taking
Yeah.
pictures with these cameras. It's like, why did you decide to stop, I don't know, creating camera technology, but you made artificially intelligent servants?
100%.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a giveaway that it might be a little bit, further on than the 50s. That
Yeah.
yeah, they have like all this technology, but some of the stuff just kind of is like a time capsule.
Mhm.
As you guys continue to watch the show, especially for Eric in particular, or anyone who's played the games, you will notice a lot of the same merchandise that you pick up throughout the wasteland in this show. One of the things that I really like about it is the creators, the people who are directing it, the actors, all were playing the video games as
Yeah.
part of this. And I think that's really, really important and gives them, well, one, it it actually comes out as a faithful representation of the games, but then two, it also tells all of the people who do love the games that they are respecting the source material. And I think like just respecting the source material is sometimes what we want to actually give them credit for. Um,
Yeah. Uh, I just saw a quick little clip today of Ella Purnell saying that, I guess, like, the producers and your director, whoever said, like, "Oh, like, you can play the game, like, you don't have to," and she was like, "No, like, I'm gonna go do it," and she was like, "I'm so happy I did." Like, she's like, "It's awesome," and, like, she kinda just said what you just said, like, it helped her make it a better representation of the game, like, now she actually understands what it is, and I'm gonna ask an overarching question here. Do you think this is the or one of the best video game adaptations ever?
Now we're getting more and more. So I feel like
Last of Us.
Last of Us
Last
is
of Us
up
was
there.
great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like,
But
these 2 have to be like, that I Last of Us and this have to be, like, pretty top of the list.
because usually they're really bad. Like,
Yeah.
video game movies have historically always been bad, but, I mean, the 2 TV shows that they just recently made, a lot of people like because I know my dad watched The Last of Us, and I don't even think he knew it
Oh,
was
nice.
a game. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, he was
Same with my dad.
yeah, he's like, "Oh, you see this new zombie show, Last of Us?" I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of The Last of Us, but I haven't seen the show." Yeah.
Yeah, I think they like, you guys, it seems awesome that, Burger, you just said, like, it's very faithful to the games, but someone like me or I would feel fully comfortable recommending it to my dad or something and saying, "Go watch Fallout." Like, don't worry that it's based on a game. It doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna miss out on some Easter eggs and stuff, but you can watch this without ever touching the game.
They're just gonna get reverse Easter eggs. They're gonna see it in the show, and then they're gonna go play the game. There's, "Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
a show!"
I'm picturing my dad now playing, like, Fallout with the big headset on and stuff.
Even in the
So
first episode, though, like, when, Lucy gets stabbed and then she goes to the med kit and, like, the med kit that looks exactly like they do in the game and pulls out a stim pack and uses a stim pack
Mhm.
back to 100 HP.
yep.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, it's and it just keeps going. In every episode, you will find something
Mhm.
that reminds you of like it's great. But we got on the topic of best and most accurate like adaptations of video games, and they keep getting stronger. And this is good
Mm.
news, right?
Yeah.
So let me list off some from for you right now. John, you and I have talked about Arcane, the League of Legends
Yep.
anime. Incredible. Detective Pikachu. That was nothing to sneeze at. I think, it's Detective Pikachu. It did what
Yeah.
it was supposed to. People wanted something different, but that was Detective Pikachu. Um, some will argue against this, but the 2018 Tomb Raider, the Castlevania animated Netflix
Oh,
show, a lot
I
of people
forgot about that.
liked. The Sonic the Hedgehog movies became something that was, pretty popular, especially having not gotten such an iconic character yet that was really represented well, and I feel like the first Sonic movie, people were like, "Oh, thank God." They were,
Yeah.
like, really,
Well,
like,
they almost
relieved.
ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
they
fans
almost
made
you're
them
so right, but hey, they listened to the people. They
if
listened
they
to the
didn't, that
people.
I think that movie probably would have been laughed at and just it
Ye
would not have done
Yep.
as well.
We just talked about The Last of Us, but The Witcher, I know that some people didn't
Mm,
like the Netflix show, and there's a lot of reasons why people, didn't like the creators. And the writers have said some curious things about
Oh
it,
boy.
but I
I've heard that
really
doesn't stick to like the source material, right? Like that kinda
and
took
it
a veered off.
some might say that's the reason why, our faithful nerd hero, um, who played The Witcher, and Superman,
Yep.
decided to leave the show. Um, but I really liked I enjoyed the TV show, let's just put it that way. I have read the books, by the way. The Cyberpunk Edge Runner show
Mm,
is
that's
another
true.
very good one as well.
And I
So
can't help but notice you've mentioned all these, but you've seemed to have maybe purposely left out the 2010 classic Prince of Persia, starring Jake
oh,
Gyllenhaal.
well, John, I'll do you one better, okay? How about the, Uncharted movie, huh?
Oh, hey,
You
hey,
like them
don't you
apples?
that was a good movie.
Oh, real good, real good.
Hey, I didn't mind that movie. That
No,
was fine.
it was I've never played the Uncharted games, but I watched the movie and I was like, "That's fine."
But, like, I feel like Uncharted, I feel like is what that's a great example of what video game adaptations usually end up being, is just
Yep.
they're good and it's fine, but, like, that almost seemed like it was just an action adventure script, and they were like, we'll make it Uncharted. Like, we'll figure it out. Let's just
Yeah.
get Mark Wahlberg in here or whoever."
there
The
was
Halo TV show, that's got, mm,
I've heard mixed things. I know a
mixed
couple
thing.
people who like it, but I saw it get panned on, like, Reddit and things, so
We had a Rampage movie, you know,
oh yeah,
oh
I
my
don't
god.
know.
There was a Battleship movie.
Hitman
I
You
mean,
Halo.
we're just recycling
everything.
IPs here.
Wait, your mom and dad, Michael, actually watched Hitman Agent 47 movie because I remember. Yeah, I know that she might not remember it, but
What a fun fact.
well, it goes back to the thing where our parents don't know these movies are based on video games, and I remember
So funny.
we were looking for a movie to watch, and my dad's like, "Oh, Hitman, that looks cool." I'm like, "Oh, I know what this is. This movie's probably bad." And then my mom is just like, "Oh, Debbie and Kim watched it, and they said it wasn't that great." I was like, "Yeah, it probably wasn't that great."
It's very much like my parents to watch something like that because, like, Jason Statham movies, Tom Cruise movies, like, they are a sucker for, like, an action movie.
Mhm.
So that does make sense that they tried to watch a Hitman movie and were like, I don't know if I like this very much."
That's
Yeah.
hysterical. Oh,
Anyway, so back to
yeah.
Fallout.
Let's say, so
Uh,
watching this one, I actually didn't look much up, and I kinda thought this was gonna be not great. And then I'd seen some good
oh,
reviews, and, watching, like, that first scene, because that first scene is amazing, like,
oh
what's his
gosh,
actual
yeah,
character name? The Ghoul.
the ghoul.
Cooper Howard, I guess is his character name, but old Walton
Walton
Goggins.
Long
Goggins.
Gardens, love that guy.
But he's kinda, doing this cowboy character at a birthday party, but there's all these signs that, like, nuclear war is about to break out. Like, the news is on in the background, and they're like, "How am I supposed to do the weather with this going on?" But I was like, "Okay, this is cool." But when the bombs dropped in that scene, I was like, "Holy shit, this looks amazing." And yeah, that line, she's like, "Is it my thumb or your thumb?" Or something
Oh,
like that. I was like, "This is in," and then when they're riding the horse and there's all
Oh,
these nukes just going off, I was
I
like,
was
"This
like,
is
yes,
insane." I was sold right then. I was like, "This show's great. This is
for
awesome."
sure. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I have chills.
Yeah. And then when it cut, it, like, went to Lucy or Maximus next, and I was like, "There's multiple characters in this, there's split storylines." I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be amazing."
Yeah.
Yeah, they did not take long for me to get completely sold on this show, and I was like, "Wow, this is way, way above what I thought it was gonna be."
mhm.
I mean, did you guys have a similar reaction, or did you guys know already going in, like, this was gonna be great? Or, like, did you watch a bunch of stuff leading up to it or anything?
I had no expectations going into it, and, just after so I have a text from Mikey that says, "We're gonna discuss the first episode of Fallout." So I'm like, "Oh, okay,
Oh,
I'll wait."
Oh,
he's got the receipts.
oh no.
wait till the day up so it's fresh in my mind and I'll watch the first episode. So that's my excuse
No.
for being only one episode deep. But what I'll say about it, what I was most impressed by was just like the set design and the costumes,
Yeah.
because I think that that like really sold it. Like if they took me into Vault 33 and it looked nothing like the vaults that I saw in the video games, I'd be like, not not buying it. Can't take this seriously. And like the ghouls, when Walter Goggins comes out of the coffin and he's like, you can tell it's him and it's just prosthetic makeup. He looks exactly like a ghoul from the video game. I don't think that they used any like significant CGI. Maybe they CGI'd his nose out or something, but that was
They just actually cut it off.
yeah,
He's
they were
he he's a method actor.
that ex practical effects. I just think that the whole thing looks great, like, just
Mhm.
the armor, just all the settings, all the sets, the costumes, the makeup. It just, it, like, really feels like I'm in the Fallout universe that I know so well.
I
Yeah,
100% agree. It looks amazing all around.
yeah, and,
Yeah, he's also completely correct about the text message. I just looked.
yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah, that's a good point. Everything looks very much like it should, and I
mhm.
I love that about it.
Yeah, they had some budget behind this, and it was used properly.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the budget. Let's talk about
Oh,
the
do you have
Fallout 3
information on budget?
budget. Let's see if we can find anything. Okay, filming on the second. Uh,
I would imagine they probably keep it pretty
nope.
under wrap oh, you
According to
got
the
it.
California Film Commission filing, the show has a budget of 152 million.
For
Yeah.
8 episodes, that's how much it was?
I believe so.
Dang. Wasn't, what was one of the newest Marvel shows that wasn't great
Oh,
with,
She-Hulk?
Secret Invasion? Wasn't that 250 or something like
yeah,
that? That's
something like that.
insane.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Eric's right.
Oh,
That was
Oh boy.
a practical effect,
Oh,
by the
no,
way.
Burger, your network's
Um,
struggling.
I see that.
And now you're all close some tabs. You were looking up
Hold
too
on,
much budget information.
hold on. Okay, I'm good, right?
I got
Yeah, you're back to good now, I think.
I'm back. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you're good.
closed the show tab. You're 100% right. That's exactly what was happening. I was opening up tabs. Okay. So, anyway, yeah, but no, there's a lot of practical effects. They showed Walter Goggins getting Walton Goggins getting put in the chair and a lot of the thing. And me and John, when we watched that Marvel show, like how many times were you and I like CGI,
Yeah.
CGI, more CGI, more CGI, more CGI. And let's be honest though here. I just want to be honest about something, and this is something that has come out more and more, and I think it does need to be talked about, is that there is a lot of CGI on in places that we don't think there is, and
Oh,
Eric
there's a
can
ton.
back us up on things like this. Like, for example, in the Barbie movie, there was a lot of talk about how they were using mainly practical effects, but there was still a lot of CGI inside of that movie. And I do think it's a little bit of a cop out to not to say that, oh, we only did practical effects, but then the people who actually did some of that CGI aren't getting credit.
it.
And I think
Yeah.
that's important to highlight
Yeah, it's not
because
always a negative that
it's not
CGI is used, like, you need it sometimes.
right.
CGI artist is the most thankless job because if you do your job right, nobody will ever notice you.
Exactly.
Very
That's a
good
great way to
point.
put it.
Yeah.
Let's put it on a t-shirt.
There
Yeah.
we go, that's our first T-shirt.
First t-shirt.
Um, one of the other things I wanted to mention, because I mean, you mentioned, um, our main character, Lucy, getting stabbed, so you got to a certain point in this already.
Mm,
But this show is pretty violent and pretty, like, graphic with it as
Oh
well.
yeah.
mm.
Way more graphic than I thought it would be. Like, at one point, I was like, "Oh, man, this is pretty gory," and Kelsey was like, "This isn't that bad," and then, like, a couple scenes later, like, some head just, like, gets completely destroyed. She's like, "Alright, maybe it's a little gory," and I was like, "Yeah,
Oh,
this
Walt
is
Morgan's used
a
the bat.
lot."
100% chance of headshot on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
the
there's a scene where they use the T60 and they just crush someone's head.
Oh, yeah.
Right scene.
I think that was the scene I was talking about, like, for a little while, it was like, "Oh, it's fine," and then that scene happened, and she's like, "Oh, boy."
Like a watermelon,
Yeah. I think it adds a good edge to it, though, like,
for sure.
it's also a great contrast with that kind of squeaky clean 50s kind of vibe in sometimes, and then, like, it's just brutal in others.
Mhm.
Yeah, this show to me, I mean, this has been a very pleasant surprise so far. And I am so happy that I was wrong on the 4 episodes and I have 4 more.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Absolutely. Yeah, and, like, Lucy's, like, thing, when she kinda, like, walks out, she's kinda like this, like, you know, cheery character, and, like, like you just said, um, this contrast between, like, the 1950s, like, Lucy's going like, she's walking out of the vault and she goes, "Okie dokie," like,
Yeah.
like,
I
and
I
and, like, this kind of, sunny, cheery, uh, positive attitude that she has walking out, like, into the wasteland was, like, a perfect contrast to, like, the fact that she's about to walk into an absolute shitstorm.
yeah,
Mm.
has no idea. I also, really loved in the beginning, like, her, it pretty much gets mentioned that she was hooking up with her cousin, like, and
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
she's like, "The cousin
Mm.
stuff was fine for a little while," and I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh,
It's
there's
silly mentions it. And
Yeah,
what she liked about that is because, in the Fallout games, you especially in Fallout 3, you go into the different vaults and kind of uncover the history behind them, and all of them had their own weird thing going on. And, like, I guess cousin incest was never, like, a big theme in any of the vaults. Well, I guess in the game, if you were to go into this one and it was an abandoned vault, like, and you probably find some evidence of that. That's that Fallout thing, like, a lot of stuff in Fallout makes you go, "That's so fucked up." So, like, when they,
mhm,
like, mention stuff, and I'm waiting for more of it because, like, I like that about the Fallout universe, everybody is very socially unhinged because it's
yeah.
post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to put, like, what the outside world was while they were all living this nice little quaint life, like, everyone above on, like, outside is just unhinged. It's just the classic, like, what I picture post-apocalyptic is, like, the Fallout universe. Like, that's what I picture it would be.
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, that and you're inevitably gonna hook up with your cousin in Fallout because you've got vaults the size of like neighborhoods, but you got like 50 to maybe like I think the most a vault has is like 475,
Mhm.
which is a lot, but like you could
Yeah,
have as many as 50. Eventually, after 4 generations, you're not gonna have a whole lot to pick from.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then that's like, so yeah, that's what led to the like, the whole thing with the Raiders coming into the vault. I guess we can spoil a little bit about the first.
Yeah.
For
Uh
sure.
yeah, like so she there was like a trade thing where he was their vault 30 their vault 33 or vault 32. They're 33. They were going to
Yeah, I
give
think they're 33.
32 a bag of rice for a quote unquote breeder. and then
Yeah.
so the one thing that I got hung up on, because like when I think that people are gonna ask me about my opinions about something, I try to be very like skeptical about stuff and like point out and like just like think about stuff. How did and maybe this might gets explained later. How did Lucy know what raiders are if they've never opened their vaults before? Like does that mean that this has happened to them before? And if so, wouldn't they have been a little bit more cautious
Mm.
about that? So
I think that's a good point. I think
Yeah.
what what I know from watching is that uh Vault 31, 32, and 33 are close enough together that not they can communicate over the computer with
mm,
one another. And uh also close enough that they can actually walk to each other's vaults. But if they have the ability to communicate with each other, they might have some type of ability to communicate with other vaults.
Yeah,
mm,
that's the only thing
So
I can think of.
that's the only thing I can think of. But also, we do learn eventually that there are people that have come in and out of the vaults, her dad being one of them,
mm,
but I
Mhm.
don't know if she knows that at the time. So there are people who have come in and out of that vault before, and that must be how she knows, I
mm,
think. But that's a legitimately good question and a good catch, and I think you're just ahead of the show because you do find out that her dad has been out of the vault
mm.
and has come back. I don't know if he's told her that or not, but
Yeah,
Gotcha.
because I thought she was gonna be surprised there was even people up there because they make it a point at the wedding to be like, "Oh, like, Lucy and whoever her husband is, like, their kids will probably or their grandkids will
yes,
probably be able to go outside because the radiation
right.
will be low enough."
That's the
So
story they've been told. They
yeah.
she when she does venture out of the vaults, she's like, "I don't understand. There's people here."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So,
they're
like,
definitely you get that vibe of the people
they've
in
been
charge
lied
are kinda, like, pushing the story of, like, "No, no, no, you don't wanna go outside, like, you can't go outside.
yeah,
This is where you wanna be, like, you gotta be here."
Uh-huh.
and
So
this, I think, where, like, the undertones of, like, Fallout's unique in that it has a lot to say without really saying much
mhm.
about politics and, like, and different other things because it talks about communism a lot, the fear of communism during, like, at different times. "Oh, that guy's a communist. You heard so and so is a communist, da da da." Like, they talk about that in the show. Capitalism is huge here. Capitalism, as you guys get farther into this, you're
Mhm.
gonna in this TV show, will become a larger and larger piece of the, story here.
Well,
So
at one point, a character mentions, like, "Oh, the vaults were just for, like, the rich people." So,
mhm,
you kind like, I always thought it was, like, a public thing, the vaults, like, set up by the country, but I guess it's more of a you paid your way in to get into these vaults, so I'm like, "Okay."
oh, you're gonna
So,
find out, John. You're gonna
I
find
figured there's
out.
gonna be something about that because
Yeah.
like, you could tell when she gets out and people start seeing her, it's rare that anyone would ever see, like, a vault dweller outside.
And I love how they treat the vault dwellers too. They're like, "Oh, these fucking vault dwellers." They like they
Yeah.
they look at them. They're like, "Oh, you guys are all dumbasses." Like
Yeah, because 'cause they're like, "We're out here living and you guys are cooped up underground. Like, what are you doing?"
Yep,
But
and cowards. They think they're cowards too.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I would imagine.
What else are we missing here? What else should we be talking about? I mean, we haven't talked too much about our our other main character who's in the Brotherhood. It's a very
Mhm.
military-esque um place to be.
Yeah. It looks like boot camp.
It looks like boot camp. He's eventually going to find it. You guys might have been to this part or haven't, but um he will eventually, go out into the wasteland. He will eventually don a T-60 armor through various methods. Oh, there
Yep.
is one thing I do want to say is that we got some good cameos here.
Mm,
We got
Okay,
some
go
good
on.
cameos. So we got Michael Rappaport.
Mm,
It took me a
Uh,
minute to realize it was him.
yeah,
But we won't spoil who
Michael
these people are
Rappaport.
though for you, Eric. We'll just say that they're in here.
okay.
Yeah,
I can't
we
just
got Matt Berry, who I've become
Yep.
very fond of from
I love Matt Berry.
What We Do in the Shadows, which is a very, very funny show. If anybody out there hasn't watched What We Do in the Shadows, it is
Yep.
very funny. You should go
I like
watch
him
that.
from the IT Crowd.
That's right. Yeah, oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Um, and we also have Saturday Night Live's. Um, hold on, just give me a moment. Who's in Portlandia?
the main guy from Portlandia.
Fred Armisen.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
And
Fred Armisen's?
we got a feature from Fred Armisen as well.
Oh, I haven't gotten to that yet. That's surprising.
It's
Yep.
pretty deep in there, and I'm sure there's a bunch of there might be a few other cameos that I'm forgetting here, but those are 3 that kinda stand out to me. Um,
Yeah.
and the Fred Armisen cameo's pretty solid. Pretty
Oh, I
solid.
can't wait for that. I love Fred Armisen.
You're like, I did decide to do a little bit of research before we recorded today, and, like, I watched a few YouTube videos. The amount of Easter eggs in this TV show is things that, like, we wouldn't like, even if you really tried hard, you'd have to really, really try to see all of the Easter eggs that reference the games, that are true to the games. Man, holy cow. I am very impressed at how much they've managed to fit in here.
Yeah, I feel like they really nailed the best of both worlds on this one of they have created a standalone show that has amazing actors in it, amazing design, set choices, visuals, and it also is staying very close to this source material and including little Easter eggs for people who have played the games.
It's
Like
great.
all around, I feel like they've just nailed every aspect so far of this show. And it sounds like it doesn't really change for the next 4 episodes. It sounds like you're leaving this whole season, Burger, pretty happy overall.
I cannot wait for the 2nd season. I blew through in half a week 8 episodes.
I was gonna say, like, for what the people are thinking, always low IMDb. It's number 1 on the popularity charts, and it has an 8.6 out of 10.
Hmm,
So that's very high for on there, I feel like. Um, yeah, it seems to be pretty universally liked. Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 93. 88 audience score, that's still pretty high. And Google has it as an average 4.7 out of 5. So overall, very good reviews all around. So
is
I
that how
can't
we
wait for the
felt
2nd
about it?
season either. I would
How
say
did we
so.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about an actual number, but like that 8.7 seems probably right. Like somewhere around a 9, I think. I really like it.
What would you say, Eric?
8.7 does sound right. Maybe a little lower. Maybe like an 8.5. Just because like I'm probably taking a lot of like personal bias into it because I'm already a Fallout fan. But, I don't know. I can't really explain it. I'm just going off of like a feeling. It didn't have that 10 feeling, but it's definitely got that feeling. It's like this is worth watching. This is something really good.
Yeah. I think after 8 episodes, I think that most people would find it somewhere between an 8 and a 9, and I could see some people putting it as low as a 7.5, but I wouldn't agree with that number. After 8 episodes and watching the first full season, um, this is so far, I think, John, like, probably on the podcast in 2024, my, like, most favorite thing that we've covered in 2024.
I would agree.
Yeah, it's
Um,
really good.
so I saw the first review on that on Google was actually a 1-star review.
That's
And
wild.
I'm just gonna read this little
Oh,
blurb because I think it's
oh, I
insane.
oh, I wanna hear it.
It's let's see here. It's like somebody wrote like a term paper. It's very long. But near the end it just says this was offensively horrible, not just as a Fallout setting fan, but as a fan of good writing, music, setting, and character development. I haven't hated a series this much in a long time. How did you watch this and come away thinking that?
Oh
Like
boy.
the exact opposite of everything we've just said.
Oh, there've definitely been some negative reviews, and I'm not even gonna give
Yeah. I mean, it's
reasons that there were because they're ridiculous reasons.
I mean, there's always
Um,
gonna be negative reviews. There's always gonna be people who don't like things.
sure.
But I
Yeah.
can't see how you'd watch this and think it's objectively horrible.
The real
That's wild to me.
the real reason people give those reviews is because they stand out. Look, of all the thousands of reviews, you read that one.
Yeah. That's
Ha,
true,
ha,
but I
ha.
mean, it's not like they're not getting, like, paid for them. I don't think, but
Maybe
Good
no, it
point.
is true, though. It does stand out through a because all the next ones are all 5s and 4s.
It's a good point. Well, uh, you know me. I love Bethesda games. Well, usually. Starfield was an exception.
Oh, boy.
Um, but and so was Fallout 76. But anyway, we've got more Bethesda games on the horizon. In fact, Fallout 4 did have its largest update in quite some time, in which it gave an update to be brought into I think um, bringing it to the Xbox Series X and
Oh.
PS5, where the graphics look better. So now is a very good time to dive back into those games, into Fallout 4 in particular because of that update. There was also, I think, like one of the if you are a PC gamer, I think like one of the largest mods came out for one of the Fallout games, and mods on a PC, it'll turn it into a full new game.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and that's basically what I'm talking about. There exists out there. I'm not sure if it's for Fallout 4 or if it's for another game. But I have heard that there's a brand new one out there that adds a lot to the game. So if you're looking to dive back into that, now is a good time to do it. So that's we are proud to have Erik on the podcast this time. We did not utilize him in the way we have wanted to for quite some time.
We'll definitely
But
be bringing you back.
Oh,
we'll be bringing Erik back to talk about all of his experiences he's had behind the camera, in the editing booth, and on the ground filming for all
Mhm.
of these different shows.
Yeah, I really wanna hear all about
Anything
that
you're
stuff.
working on recently, Erik,
yeah. So,
that you can talk about?
yeah, um, I I don't know necessarily. I usually just skim through my NDAs, so I'm not sure. So to be safe, I'll be kind of vague. But I've been doing
Sure.
some cooking stuff lately. So it was interesting. A lot of times, like, I'll get called to work on a show, and I'll have a quick Zoom meeting about just the things that I need to know, like the camera specs and stuff. So I won't really know what the show is sometimes. And
Wow.
so last week, we shot a show, and this was the second time it happened to me where I didn't know who the talent was going to be, but it ended up being somebody I knew, and it wasn't anybody super famous, but I actually watched Next Level Chef with Gordon Ramsay, and they're the winner of the show. I knew that she was from Brooklyn, and I'm like, oh, she lives close to me. I wonder if I'll ever see her. And I'm going through my kit, and I turn around and I'm just like, "No way." I was a big fan of her on the show, so and then there she is, and, Gordon Ramsay actually ended up getting involved in that show. Um, I won't say what it is or anything, but, I got this, really expensive salt shaker as a gift from
Ooh
that.
la la.
I'm gonna give it to
That
my
looks
mom when
amazing.
I really go
That
my, small apartment kitchen.
that looks like a Fallout weapon. That looks
Yeah,
Yeah, it did.
serious, man.
this thing could do some damage, like, seriously. Like, because, like, the last episode of the show, they had her, like, cooking, like, these ingredients of, like, stuff that she was making, and, the executive producer at the end is just like, "Yeah, we've got all this, like, really expensive, Hexaclad cooking ware. We're gonna draw
Oh, yeah.
and, everybody could come up and take something." And, I drew number 6 and took the salt shaker. I don't know if that was the best move, but I looked it up, it was $150, so it couldn't have.
Jeez Louise.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you came out good on that one.
Mhm.
Good
That's
stuff, man.
awesome.
Yeah, so absolutely look forward to talking to you again in the future, Eric, and those of you who are listening out there in YouTube space or over in Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any of these other places that you can find the Screened In podcast. We will have Eric on again to talk about these other experiences that he's had, gone all over the place, including Alaska,
Wow, that was
to
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. Talked about how we felt about the Fallout TV show. Um, what are we working on for the future? I think that's something we can kind of start talking about, John. Um, there have been whispers of us doing the new anime, Solo Leveling.
Yep.
That should be coming up soon. The video game, Dave the Diver, as well. And anything else, John, that we talked about?
I was gonna say if you have any suggestions, if anybody, if you
Yes.
watch this and you wanna see us talk about something, um,
I have a
yeah, we're
suggestion.
always willing. Oh god. We're not doing that weird anime, bro.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's not that weird.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, like we're up to do anything. I mean, if anything pops up and looks
Anything?
cool, our schedule is kind of fluid too. Like if we get recommended something and it looks really cool, it might shoot to the top of the list, or we might just never do it. Who knows? But shoot those suggestions our way.
That's right. You can find us on Instagram. You can follow us. You can request to be invited to our Discord. Um, and you can also check us out on TikTok. But you can also find us on YouTube. This is our fifth or sixth episode
Something
that's
like that.
made its way over to YouTube at this point. We have somewhere in total. Is this episode 69, John?
This is episode 68. Sorry to ruin
So
that
close.
for you.
So episode 68. The next one will be 69. But um, so you can check us out on YouTube if you're not already watching there. And please subscribe. Do rate the podcast if you get an opportunity to. It does help us out and allow us to be a little bit more discoverable for other people to listen. And we hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next time. Adios, everyone.
See you later.
The